morning, everyone, or good whatever time it is wherever you are right now. Glad you can make it today. I'm gonna do my normal thing here and give about 3.5 minutes for everybody to join live who's going to join live. And so if you are watching this on replay, feel free to jump to that time. Hope everybody had a pretty good weekend and a good Monday. There's been, where I am, still ice everywhere on the streets. I mean, it's been like 10 days now. We're all ready. We're all ready to be done with it. If you're somewhere that's warm and has been warm or hasn't gotten the ice storm, be happy about that because, I was thinking, oh, great, we're going to get all this great snow. We didn't get snow. We got ice. We got ice. Nothing wrong with ice. I mean, ice really can, ice is amazingly effective at shutting things down. So, yeah, I'm going to be talking about the energy theory of life today. And this is something that I've collected it from several different sources. And one of the major sources who helped me tie all this together is Doug Drillard. Um, I'll post on X about him. He's a friend of mine. And we sort of took some of these sources and talked it all through, and then he came up with a pretty, what I think is a pretty elegant model of why things happen and how things happen. And so I'm going to talk about that, and it's going to be pretty good. I think if I missed yesterday, something came up, and I just couldn't avoid it. And by the time I was done, it would have been too late in the day. So, but I'm going to try to be more, consistent in the future. Because hey, you know what? I like spending time with you guys. I do. This is fun. I hope you enjoy it. And remember that on Fridays, I think Fridays are now always going to be Feel Good Fridays. Just I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who really like that, and it feels good to feel good. I mean, it's good to feel good. So I think it's probably a good thing to increase the amount of good feelings in the world, especially with all the weird stuff that's been going on. I mean, is this one of the bigger transition times that we've lived through? Certainly that I've lived through. More is changing now than I can think of in any other time in my life. I mean, the rate of change right now is just wild, and there's just so much going on. But um, today we're just going to talk about this one thing, and I'll talk about more stuff over the week. So come see me every morning at 8:30. So we're at about the 3.5 minute mark. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Andrews, and I am a hypnotist, which is pretty cool because that means I know how to change things on the inside to make things better. And if you're here, that means you probably like it when things get better, and you like it when you get better. And that's what I'm here for, too. And today I want to talk about the energy theory of life. And while I talk about it, I'll be doing some work under the hood to rewire your brain in real time. And if you're watching this, you've probably had some other things going on today. So the first thing we're going to do is take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and then let it all go. Ready? Breathe in. Hold it for a moment and just let it all go. Good. And the next thing we're going to do is your mind has been all over the place maybe today. And so we're just going to gather up all of those thoughts and bring them right here so you can focus in. Now, what I want to talk about today is what I call the energy theory of life. And this was developed by conversations between me and my friend Doug using a lot of different sources. A lot of different sources. And the reason I want to talk about this is it just explains so many things. So many things. Now, we're going to get a little bit esoteric, but also we're going to bring it back into more kind of concrete terms. So, we're not going off the deep end here. So the first thing to understand this, you need to understand that what I mean by energy. And what I mean by energy, it's a form of attention, right? In this sense, I'm not talking about electricity going through the wiring in your house. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a form of attention that the humans have on things. And I say humans because I think attention requires someone or something to have an observer faculty. You know what I mean by the observer faculty, right? When you think of the human psyche, the human makeup, we've got a mind, a body, and we have something that can observe. And I don't just mean visually, I mean it can take in sensory inputs and it can also observe itself. Right? This is what I mean by the observer faculty. This seems to be unique to humans. Some animals may have a very rudimentary form of it, but nothing really to make much of a difference. But humans, we seem to have a major observer faculty. And this is why Rene Descartes, you might have heard the phrase, "I think, therefore I am." He said he could prove that he exists because he could observe himself on the inside. Right? So we have this observer faculty, and that's important. Because wherever this observer faculty focuses on, whatever this observer faculty observes or directs its attention towards, tends to collect energy. There's a phrase that says energy flows where attention goes. And there's something to that as well. So whatever you focus on tends to gain energy. Right? Incidentally, this is one of the differences between the LLM AI models. I don't think they have an observer faculty. That's a huge difference. That's for another conversation. So we have this observer faculty, and wherever our intention goes, that's where energy can flow to. Now, what are the implications of this? Well, one of the biggest implications is that whatever has the most energy in any particular situation tends to be the thing that happens. Right? Whatever solution, whatever pathway forward gathers the most energy, that's what tends to happen. I think Scott Adams talked about this sometimes too. He mentioned something along these lines, and I couldn't find the episode, so I'm not 100% sure what his take on it was. But I remember him talking about something like this. Now, if you think about it, this explains almost all types of manifestation work and esoteric practices and simulation programming and magic and all of that stuff, right? Whatever gets the most energy tends to happen. So what are the other implications of this? Well, number one, I think we can all agree that the president, Donald Trump, is an energy direction master. If you really think about it, how much of the last, I guess it would be 9 years, 10 years at this point, how much of the world's attention and energy, because energy goes where attention is, how much of the world's attention and therefore energy has gone exactly where he wants it to go? I mean, we're talking multiple, double digits of, there's been times where probably half the entire world's attention was on something that he wanted to point out. I mean, unbelievable. unbelievable how good he is at directing the energy. Right. So this explains part of how he has been so effective at doing so many things. Now, energy isn't just, you can't just take any energy and put it anywhere, because if it's negative attention and positive attention, it tends to cancel each other out, right? You got the energy and attention, and then you have the intention. Now, if you take the intention and supply the energy with the intention, that tends to direct it. So it's not just a matter of bringing all the attention in. There's a second step here, and it would be called transmutation. Of the esotericists would call it transmutation, or to use another old school word, alchemy. Right? You remember the medieval European alchemists where they're trying to turn lead into gold? So I thought that was really kind of weird and interesting, and it in one sense it led to the current science of chemistry. But there was another sense, a metaphorical sense, right, of all these different people who were talking about, you take the sulfur and you put the mercury and all this stuff, and like what they were doing is they were changing one type of energy into another type of energy. Right now, there's again, I'm oversimplifying, but these were practices. I mean, there was a Dutch guy named Nicholas Flamel, and he wrote how he had founded 8 hospitals. Right? He didn't found 8 hospitals. He taught he taught 8 people the energy healing techniques that were probably came from the East. Okay. So you do have some ways to transmute things. There's like a bunch of Chinese Taoist practices, and Buddhist stuff will do it. The Western alchemy of lead into gold, and then there's so when you think about it, I mean, this stuff exists. Now, what happens when you take something, you get all this energy and you change the bad energy into good energy, and then you focus it onto what you want? Right? Isn't that what Trump does? Doesn't he like get everybody angry and focused on him, and then he somehow changes it into something that he wants to have happen, and he pours all the energy into that, and it kind of happens. So that's the basic equation. And the reason I say that this explains so many things is it explains why so many things that happen. That's where the energy is, and that's where it's like the energy multiplied by the intention is a almost a quantitative factor on what's likely to happen. So Scott Adams gave us all of the persuasion filter on figuring out what's going to happen. I'm going to give you guys the energy filter. The energy filter. And you'll be able to see how this works in your own life. Now, I could talk about various religions and religious practices. My friend Doug, his theory is, and I can see this. I can see this. He says we started talking about various religions and how they operate with this. And he said something really, really interesting. He said most religions do not gather new energy. They don't add energy to the system, to the world, to the universe. They don't. They just take other energy. Okay. For example, all the Muslims praying towards Mecca, that pushes energy there. Okay, what created that energy? Right? It's not new energy. It's just existing energy. And his theory is that with Christianity, Christianity is the one that actually brings new energy in to the system, right? Because of the Christ, right? The Christ allows energy to go from God through Christ to the world. And that's why Christianity doesn't necessarily need to take energy from anywhere else. And he says this is why we tend to find a greater emphasis on ascension and enlightenment in Christianity, rising up, right? We tend to find more emphasis on that. in Christianity than in other religions. So I haven't fully mapped all that out yet, but I get what he's saying. You know what I mean? I get what he's saying. So, in summary, attention goes, I mean, energy flows where attention goes. And if you can direct the world's attention and then transmute that energy by supplying a new intention to it, whatever your intention is that's supplied to that mass of energy, that's likely to happen. And so, what I want you to do is go through, keep this kind of running in the back of your mind a little bit. And when you see something, you think, well, how much energy and attention was in there? And you can sort of trace it to test for yourself, because that's why I called it the energy theory. It's the energy theory. It's not the energy axiom or whatever you would call something that's been proven. But I've tested this out and it seems pretty real to me. So let's add it to your filters, your set of filters that you can use for evaluating things, right? You got the persuasion filter, you've got the cause and effect filter, and now you've got the energy filter. And I'm sure you have other filters too, right? So add that, and you gain more flexibility in your ways of evaluating things and predicting what's going to happen and understanding how the world and the universe works. And when you do that and understand the situation from multiple filters, right? That's one of the best things. You understand something from multiple filters, you begin to triangulate what may be more resiliently true, more accurately true. It's a big deal because there's so many people, most people in the world, they only go through life with their one big giant filter of their culture, their religion, their politics, or whatever it is, right? They have one filter. And I'm convinced also that there's lots of people in this world who aren't bright enough to have a filter. I'm just going to say that bluntly. But you are different. You have multiple filters. So you can evaluate a situation from this filter and then swap to this other filter and evaluate it from that other filter. And then swap to a third filter and evaluate it from the third filter. And if all three filters end up predicting something similar or giving you a similar understanding, that's kind of like, that's more reliable than just using one filter. And that's one of the greatest skills that I think anyone can get, is the ability to use multiple filters and not be stuck in any of them, not be required to be in any of them. And when you do that and begin to evaluate things from multiple filters, you're going to notice things differently. You're going to see things differently. You're going to feel things differently. You're going to hear things differently. And it's going to make more sense to you. And while other people are losing their heads and going crazy trying to understand why things didn't go the way they wanted, you're going to be able, more likely, to understand. And it's going to keep you out of cognitive dissonance. Because what if it makes no sense in this filter, but it makes perfect sense in this filter? Maybe that situation is something you should look at from this filter then, the one where it makes sense. So thank you all. That's it for today. Thank you all for being here today. I'll be here again tomorrow. We're going to talk about some more interesting things. If you enjoyed this or found it helpful or useful, feel free to share it with somebody or to check out my website, jasonandrews.coach. And yeah, I'll be here tomorrow at 8:30, and I will talk to you later.